Hey guys, I hope you've all had a wonderful week wherever you are and whatever it is you have been doing. Today, we're going to be covering some pretty groundbreaking news that came out of the SEC and the chairman of the SEC, Paul Atkins, who has now enabled Project Crypto that is looking to essentially bring on-chain and modernize the financial world as we know it and financial instruments, securities and such things. Paul Atkins is essentially looking to enable to come on-chain. And we're going to make this video in relation to Hedera Hashgraph, which I think is exceptionally well positioned to be one of the big players in actually enabling this future that we are hurtling towards. It's very apparent that we're moving in this direction. And there's a lot of reasons why I think Hedera is going to be a big player in this. One, because of how many funds and some of the institutional players that have facilitated these funds are some of the largest in the world, financial corporations or institutions. They already have funds tokenized on Hedera. We saw, for example, here in the UK, but this is kind of specific looking at the United States, Hedera actually lead with the Lloyd's news in facilitating the UK's first use of digital assets. That was piloted on Hedera Hashgraph with Aberdeen Archax and, of course, Lloyd's Banking Group. So we already see a lot of funds actually tokenized by some of the leading financial institutions on Hedera, but Hedera has unique features like the Governing Council, which is literally made up of some of the largest companies within the United States. It has built-in compliance features with tokenization. It has a clawback feature. Now, anybody that's listened to Dan Done over at DTCC will know that there needs to be built-in compliance with this, and there also needs to be. I've listened to him actually express his opinion, but it's more likely a fact because he's the guy in the driving seat here as far as the individual that has the largest amount of kind of assets that can be tokenized. He doesn't have them, but certainly DTCC has them under their roof. He has spoken about a clawback feature being something that regulators are. Or a feature to do a similar thing is something that regulators are very sort of anxious to have. And of course, Hedera has that. You know, it's got token pauses, unpauses, built-in KYC, all of these things. And there are links between perhaps Lehman, who is a genius in his own right, but at one point he was the professor of computer science at the US Air Force Academy. So Hedera very much is well set, or well positioned. It's capable enough, talking about the DLT from a protocol level, and certainly has been making inroads in regards to already tokenizing some of the largest financial institutions' funds. And we know that evolution is taking place. Paul Atkins very much signaling this. And it also, has lots of links to the United States. It has all the compliance features. It also was mentioned in the White House reports we're going to look at today, which we haven't covered yet. So quite a jam-packed video, a lot to get into, but let's start things off with something that I don't think people have quite took as seriously as they should. It's real confirmation and solidifies the direction that the financial markets are moving in, and that's to be brought on-chain, predominantly, I would say, public chains, because if they want this global reach and to benefit from it, it needs to take place on the public sort of side of DLTs to enable this internet of value that's global in nature, rather than a private one. There will be an kind of connection there. I have no doubt on that. But it says, thank you to A1 Policy for hosting me today to discuss Project Crypto, which will be the SEC's North Star in aiding the president in his efforts to make America the crypto capital of the world. He goes on to say, we are at the threshold of a new era in the history of our markets. This is such a big deal, guys, in terms of the acknowledgement from the individual who is literally in charge of enabling this from a regulatory point of view, green lighting it. He is acknowledging that we are entering a new era of history in regards to financial markets. And that era is brought about by DLTs, public ones, like Hedera Hashgraph. There are going to be others out there. If you want to unlock what I hold, do consider becoming a Patreon. Project Crypto, and there's no surprise that I hold Hedera in my portfolio. In fact, it's my largest position. Project Crypto is a commission-wide initiative to modernize the securities rule and regulations to enable America's financial markets to move on-chain. Pinch me, I'm dreaming. I've been in this space long enough to, really understand how far it's came. So the President's Working Group released the PWG report, President's Working Group report, with clear recommendations for the SEC and other federal agencies. to build a framework to maintain US dominance in crypto asset markets. This report is the blueprint to make America first in the blockchain and crypto technology. Project Crypto will help ensure that the United States remains the best place in the world to start a business, develop cutting-edge technologies, and participate in capital markets. First, we will work to bring crypto asset distribution back to America. In line with the PWG report, a key priority of mine will be to establish as swiftly as we can a regulatory framework for distribution of crypto assets in America. Second, to achieve the president's goal, it is incumbent on the SEC to ensure that the market participants have maximum choice when deciding where to custody and trade crypto assets. Third, a key priority of mine is to allow market participants to innovate with super apps. Fourth, I have decided or directed the commission staff to update antiquated agency rules and regulations to unleash the potential of on-chain software systems in our securities market. Wow. Finally, innovation and entrepreneurialism are the engine of the American economy. The president has described America as the nation of builders. Under my leadership, the SEC will encourage our nation's builders rather than constrain them with red tape and one-size-fits-all rules. Big shift from what we've previously seen. As we advance these properties, I look forward to working with my counterparts across the administration to make the US the crypto capital of the world. This represents more than a regulatory shift. It's a generational opportunity indeed. And that's why this channel exists and has done for years now, telling people about crypto and the broader innovation that it brings outside of speculation on meme coins. And Hedera is fundamentally, in my opinion, going to change the world. I truly believe that when I say it. It's a big, big deal. You see companies out there that have changed the world and pioneered the internet and systems like Microsoft reach $4 trillion. Who knows where Hedera Hashgraph could get to in the future if it's as impactful as I think. Now, before we dive into this a little bit more, the interesting thing that was mentioned there was the PWG, which is the President's Working Group, and their report. Now, this report actually mentions Hedera. Not many people know this or have seen it. I haven't had a chance to report on it here, guys, because we're just so busy with everything. But you can see here on page 26, it's talking about decentralized finance, technology stack, and it references DeFi stack, getting a grip on DeFi ecosystems. It references the Hedera paper on the DeFi stack. They used this in their presidential working report. I said this on Twitter and people were like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's a bit far-fetched. You're using a footnote. No, the footnote was in reference to this page on Hedera's DeFi stack and what they had to write about it. It's referencing Hedera. I mean, yes, there was a number of cryptos mentioned, but there are thousands out there. The ones that did get a mention, I think it's a positive sign, in my opinion. Of course, this was highlighted by the Hedera Foundation. Shout out to them. They're doing a great job, by the way. And of course, Hedera, their official Twitter channel actually did post this. But this is a big step. So Paul referencing this, again, another reason perhaps why Hedera might be in a great position on top of all the ones that we mentioned at the start that we can back up. So Paul had mentioned this. Now, Hedera had retweeted it. It said, Chairman Paul Atkins, SEC Gov, just flipped the switch. Welcome, Project Crypto. A clear path is taking shape for builders, investors, and innovators. Now the time to engage, contribute, and help shape what comes. And what he highlights here is a segment from his speech. And he talks about the evolution of capital markets with buttonwood to blockchain. And let's read that bit, shall we? It says, the evolution of capital markets from buttonwood to, not Brenham, by the way, to blockchain. The winds of innovation have always swept through our capital markets, often at a gale force. In 1792, they rustled the leaves of a buttonwood tree, beneath which 24 stockbrokers assembled to establish the forerunnings of the New York Stock Exchange. Modest agreement, fewer than 100 words, handwritten on a slip of parchment, set in motion an elegant design that would govern the flow of capital for generations. Highlighting that this is coming again, this kind of transformation. In the century since, our markets have never stood still. They have expanded, evolved, and reinvented themselves in step with the idea and technologies of their times. Markets are dynamic because of the people who participate in them. Markets channel human ingenuity towards society, most intractable problems by rewarding those who develop the most innovative solutions that others value enough to buy. They are the mechanism by which Adam Smith's invisible hand elevates those who act in the common good, even when pursuing their own. And that's why I'm kind of a free market guy. I think if you incentivize people to solve problems with a free market, and it's not the perfect solution, Nirvana's not for this world, it works better than just paying them regardless and actually paying them because a problem exists. It kind of incentivizes them to keep the problem. Anyway, the SEC's role is to safeguard markets that allow the spark of human creativity and skill to benefit society. Over the arc of history, the agency has both enabled innovation and regrettably at times stifled it. Fortunately, progress has a way of prevailing, and when our regulators postpone, posture is calibrated to meet innovation with thoughtfulness rather than fear. America's leadership position has only grown stronger. It then goes on to essentially talk about where we are today. So this brings me on to today, to highlight this, to a moment that demands American ambition, to a project that can unleash it. So it's forging the future, America's leadership in the golden age of finance. So today I would like the world to go on noticing that under my leadership, the SEC will not stand idly to watch innovators develop overseas whilst our capital markets remain stagnant. To achieve President Trump's vision of making America the crypto capital of the world, the SEC must holistically consider the potential benefits and risks of moving our markets from an off-chain environment to an on-chain one. And he goes to talk about the Genius Act, the some of the stuff that we've already covered. But this, I truly believe, wasn't reported and given the gravity that it deserves. And this future is going to be enabled by public distributed ledgers. Hedera is exceptionally well positioned. It's already doing this with some of the largest institutions in the world. It's governed by the largest institutions in the world. It's one of the most scalable, economic, secure, I can go on and on, cryptocurrencies that exist today. On top of that, it has features that were designed to make tokenization compliant with the securities market, like the clawbacks, like the pauses, like the built-in KYC, so on and so forth, and requirements. And again, we literally see some of the largest institutions in the world already using it. Like here in the UK, I know we're talking about America, but this is a great example of Hedera being in a lead position. Digital Asset Breakthrough, Aberdeen Investments, Lloyds Banking Group, and Archax completes the UK first use of digital assets. This was on Hedera Hashgraph. And the UK market for the use case that they used it to solve is about 5.4 trillion in volume daily. It accounts for about half the volume around the world. Here's a list. I think this was from a guy called Tata on Twitter. And we'll show you his handle so you can go and give him a follow. These are some of the funds that are already tokenized on Hedera, many of them through Archax. We've got Aberdeen's Liquidity Lux Fund, or fund. Now, Aberdeen, one of the largest investors by BlackRock, one of the leading, I think they're probably in the top 10, maybe even top 5 financial institutions in the UK. I think we even have the largest, which is Legal & General, that have already tokenized on Hedera. Then we have State Street, GDP Government Liquidity Fund, Aberdeen Liquidity Fund, Fidelity ILF, State Street USD Liquidity, BlackRock ICS, we covered this when it came out, LGIM, US Dollar Liquidity Fund, Legal & General. So these guys are the biggest fund in the UK. ILF GDP, Fidelity ILF, State Street GDP, BlackRock ICS Sterling Government Liquidity, Legal & General Sterling Liquidity Fund, IL Euro, Legal & General Euro Liquidity, State Street EUR Liquidity, ILF USD, Fidelity ILF, the Euro Fund, Fidelity ILF, the Euro Fund ACC, BlackRock's ICS US Dollar Liquidity Fund, BlackRock's ICS US Treasury Fund, BlackRock ICS US Dollar Liquidity Fund, BlackRock ICS Sterling Liquidity Fund, BlackRock ICS Euro Liquidity, BlackRock ICS Sterling Government Liquidity Fund, BlackRock, State Street, Fidelity, Aberdeen. Must I go on? Markets are coming on chain, and Hedera Hashgraph is exceptionally well positioned. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it from me. I'm going to love and leave you all. Thanks for watching as always. Stay focused. I'll see you all in the next one.